Hey, good evening, folks. Welcome to the Let's Go Fishing Show. And my guest tonight is a well-known fisherman in this area, a local fisherman at one time, and now he's a pro fisherman now. Brandon Coulter, glad to have you, Brandon.
It's my pleasure, Mike.
All right, good deal. Brandon's, well, he's got connections locally. You better just go ahead and get it out now.
Well, you know, my wife went right here behind the place to Oak Ridge High School, and I was told if I brought this up, I might be on the couch this morning, but I'll go ahead and say it. We've got a lot of kin in Coalfield. She actually grew up in Big Mountain Holler, which I think a lot of people that watch the show know where that is. And in, I'm going to say 19-something, I'm not going to get in too much trouble. My wife was the runner-up at the Anderson County Fairs to the Fair. So if y'all want to go do some research, Deanna Howard back in the day, and now she's Deanna Coulter. And we have 4 kids, but I've got kin all over these parts. So.
All right. So he's a local fisherman, folks. Just kind of moved out of town over in Lenore City Way in Maryville. Is that what?
No, I actually live right in Knoxville. Right up on North Shore Drive, not far outside of Knoxville at all. It's our kids all go to the Knoxville schools, and I haven't been able to venture out too far.
All right, that sounds even better. Well, anyway, I run into Brandon several months ago, right after I got the show started, and he was fishing on the circuit, and it's been a hard time for he and I to get hooked up, and I liked him when I first met him, and you know, he's got a lot of fishing stories to tell, and this, that, and the other, and baits and business, and we're just going to get into that a little bit later on in the show, and first off, I'm going to say hello to Dad, and happy birthday, Wesley. My grandson's birthday's tomorrow. I want to say happy birthday to him. And I've got some crappie fishing film that I shot back on December the 1st. I went down with Brad and Mike, and Brad were already on the lake, and I went down and met them and filmed them crappie fishing on Watch Bar. And then this past Saturday, went up to Point 19 and had the Heartland tournament up there, and Mike and I got involved in that, and I kind of wished we'd saved our money. But anyway, we enjoyed it, and so I've got some of the weigh in, and I've got that crappie film, and then we're going to show that, and then when we come back, we're going to get into Brandon's pocket here and let him tell us all about what it takes to hit the big circuit and what he's doing here locally now. He got a lot of things going on, so we're going to go ahead and show the films, and then we'll come back and talk to Brandon.
Looking forward to it, Steve.
All right, man. Go ahead, Herschel.
Brad, and they're crappie fishing. I thought it'd be a good time for me to get some film, so I'm riding along with them here with the camera. We'll see how they do here. Show you a little picture here of the electronics, what we're looking for down there underneath, and see if we can find some fish on here. All right, folks, Mike's got a crappie here.
Same old rig.
Yeah. Okay, Mike, it looks pretty good. All right, we'll see if we can get another one right here. Get them back to back. Yeah. I don't think that's a catfish, Mike. I believe you've got a good crappie on there.
Got a crappie on there.
All right.
Nice one, about 12 inches.
Yeah. Okie dokie. We might get on something here, folks. All right, Brad. So you got a connection back there, don't you? Okay. Let's see what we got. Oh yeah, man, that's a nice one. Boy, folks, I want you to look there. What a crappie. Ooh, Lordy. Yeah, man. That right there is a nice one, Brad. That's one of them 16 inchers, ain't it? Yeah, boy. Good job. All right, folks. Brad's got another one on here. That's a good keeper, Brad, but he ain't as big as that last one you got. Okay. How deep was setting, Brad?
33.
33 feet, folks. All right. Brad's got another one, folks. That's back-to-back drops, wasn't it, Brad?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, Brad. Got another one on, ain't you, bud?
Yep.
Okie dokie. There you go. Looks good, Brad. All right, Mike, what you got there?
Yeah, a little crappie.
Yeah, got a little crappie. Okay. Get one on, Brad.
Check him, see if he'll measure.
All right, Brad. Yeah, hold on. Let me get it in focus here. Oh, yeah. Yeah, nice one, Brad. Good deal. What you got there, Mike?
Yeah, another little crappie.
Another little crappie, huh? Yeah, he might make the 10-inch mark, maybe.
You can see there.
All right.
Recording.
Hey folks, we're loaded up, fixing to go in. I think they got about 18, maybe 20 crappie keepers and 2 or 3 pretty good ones. So we're going to head into the house and hope to see you there on the show. And remember the sponsors. Remember, let's go fishing.
Hey folks, we're up here on North Point 19 with the Heartland anglers going out of here at the boat ramp, and Mike and I are going ahead and get in the tournament, and we're going to go out here and see what we can come up with today. So stay tuned. We'll see what we can find these smallmouth, largemouth in here, see what's going on.
Get on candid camera here. How are you,
Hey,
brother?
Lee, I'm good. How about you?
Starving.
Starving, I heard that. How much weight you on?
5:15.
5:15. Okay. All right.
Not enough on the break.
I heard that.
Hey folks, we're here at the weigh-in at the Heartland here at Point 19, and done had a couple of guys weigh in, so we'll try to catch everybody else that we can before they get going here today. George, how many gents have?
Got 5.
Oh shoot, you guys done good. We've got 1 fish. You done weighed yours?
Huh?
You hadn't weighed yours, have you?
No. Down on it, go. What's it? 1060.
Yeah, I carried them over there and stopped halfway around.
Yeah.
Who we got?
Lonnie McCamey and Kevin McCamey.
Hey folks, got Lonnie McCamey and Kevin McCamey here, and they got a couple of Kentucks, looks like, some largemouth, and got a nice small. There you go, guys. Man, hold on a second. Let me get them in focus. Oh yeah, walk this way just a little bit. All right, boy. Hey guys, that right there is beautiful, man. Thank you, appreciate it. Okay, who we got? Aaron Mack and Marlon Mack. Come on up here, guys. I think we're out. Yeah, let's get you a little closer. Oh yeah. Hey,
we look good right there.
yeah. You want to show me some fish? Looks like they got 16 something, folks. Got a nice bag of fish up here for a day like today. Oh yeah, man. Nice largemouth, smallmouth. You guys are doing good. See, the big question is now, folks, once we look at the fish, we're going to find out what they caught them on, where they caught them. Then we're going to see how truthful they are. Oh, boys, that's some pretty fish, guys. That looks great. Shallow, deep? Shallow. Call them shallow. All right, sounds good. Water temperature around about 56?
55, 56, pretty much all day, yeah.
Yeah, and, okay, I guess you caught them on a floating fly, right?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. You wouldn't care to tell us what kind of what color the floater was you used with?
Pink.
Pink? Hey, appreciate you guys. Good catch, man.
Thanks, man.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Okay, buddy. Thank you. Hey, folks, I got BJ Henderson here. BJ, how'd you do today?
I caught a bunch of fish, had a bunch of 17-inch smallmouth. Couldn't get no keepers.
Couldn't get no fish.
I had 2 keepers smallmouth. I'd say I caught 6 or 7 in 17 inches.
Yeah. Well, hopefully they'll grow up, you reckon?
But yeah, I mean, I had a pretty good day, 10 too old.
10 2 up. Well, listen, appreciate you, man.
Appreciate
Good
you,
to see
Steve.
you.
Good to
All
see
right,
you,
see you, buddy. Okay. And we got the second place winners, and this is what?
Lonnie McCamey.
Lonnie McCamey,
Kevin McCamey.
Kevin McCamey. Hey, I'm not going to ask you what you caught your fish on. What'd you catch your fish on? Shallow, deep, mid-range?
A little bit of both. They're everywhere.
Little bit of both everywhere. Okay. Was you? Did you stay here close to the ramp, or did you go up to Cold Creek?
Now we went to the Blue Springs up in Powell.
The Blue Springs up to Powell. Pretty good run, and
Yeah.
it's what 40 degrees, 42 degrees here this morning.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, congratulations. And
Thank you.
good bag of fish. Hope to see you guys around here next time.
All right. Thank you.
Okay, watch the show Thursday night. Let's go fishing.
All right.
Thank you, guys. All right, folks, we got the winners here. 16 what?
25, I think.
1625. Aaron Mack
Yep.
and
Marlon, man.
Marlon Mack. All right, boys, so listen, that's a good bag of fish. Now, I know that pink float didn't help much, you know? So, I don't want you to tell you secrets, but that was a good bag of fish considering conditions today. Anything you
want to give a fisherman a good tip about what not to do, or that's basically what you want to tell them is what not to do.
We caught a bunch of fish today, and they were all pretty shallow. We didn't have to fish 20 foot deep or nothing for them. So most of the time they should bite at 20 foot, but they're not right now for some reason.
Right. I think a lot of that's due to the water temperature still up. A month ago we was catching them on a bizarre spook on watch bar, 56-degree water, and in 2 foot of water. So that makes a whole lot of difference. And I think once this water cools down, they'll probably get out there 20 foot or deeper, and some of them will be even deeper. Hey, listen, guys, congratulations. Appreciate you.
Thank you.
Don't forget the show. Don't forget the sponsors. Gotta help them sponsors out. You know what I mean? All right. Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay. All right. Hey, folks, I'm here with George Carroll. He's the tournament director up here for the Heartland. George, how'd your tournament go today?
We had 10 boats. Right at 15 pounds won. Second place was 1060. Only paid 2 spots. Just the turnout was not too good today. We've been averaging about 15 boats a tournament. Today we had right at 10 boats.
Yeah. Well, I think a lot of this foul weather probably knocked some of your boats down. Then you had another tournament going out of here too. It had some of your people in it, didn't it?
It did.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's the thing about running this winter trail, and tried to miss all the other tournaments, and was kind of surprised when I pulled up and seen 40 or 50 boats in the parking lot this morning. So.
Yeah, I thought we was going to have a big crowd myself. Well, listen, I enjoyed coming up here. I hadn't been here since last of October, and I was kind of looking for my black lights, but I couldn't find them in the boat. So, but listen, enjoyed fishing with you guys, and hopefully get back.
Come back and see us.
All right, thank you, George.
All right, appreciate you.
What did you say, Paul? Huh?
You got a wheel mark.
Yeah.
I didn't know you was over talking to.
Hey folks, we're still here at point 19 and got another tournament trail going to weigh in. Lunker Time Bass Anglers is here having their classic, and I'm going to try to catch a couple of their fishermen here and get a little more information on what these fish are doing. Okay folks, I got Bill Henderson and Paul King right here, and you guys had 13 something today? Good bag of fish. 2 pretty fish right there, man. A largemouth and a smallmouth. Anything you want to tell us? What did you catch them on, Paul, besides a hook?
Caught them on. Something Bill give me.
Oh, that's good enough. Hey, good bag of fish, guys. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Hey, how you doing, buddy? All right.
Take a picture of fish?
Yeah. All right, folks. We got 2 more fishermen here, and you guys have total weight what?
812.
812. Good deal. And your name?
Junior Williams.
Junior Williams?
Rock Rocker.
Rock Rocker. All right, boys. Hey, nice fish, man. Just, sometimes they're just not heavy enough.
Yeah.
Nice fish. Appreciate it. Okay.
Here, pours all get at.
Okay, boy, Dalvin, that's a nice smallmouth you got there. What that in weigh?
Oh, I didn't even weigh it for lunker.
You didn't even weigh it for lunker? All right, how much weight did you have today?
9.4.
9.4?
Yeah.
Well, you wouldn't want to tell us what you caught him on, would you? I didn't think
Why
so.
am I tell you?
Yeah, well, heck, that sounds good, man. How deep was it, would you think? Shallow?
Yeah, it's about 7 foot.
About 7 foot? Sounds good. Appreciate it, man.
All right.
Okay, thank you. All right, hey folks, I got Billy Henderson and Paul King here. They're the winners of the tournament. Guys, tell us all about it.
Well, we caught them off and on all day, but they hit a spinnerbait.
Hit a
The
spinnerbait.
only thing we could get them here.
Yeah.
Get a little peck or 2 on a jig, but they didn't.
Didn't take it. Okay. Well, listen, congratulations.
We didn't have a fish caught at 10 o'clock.
Didn't have a fish call at 10, folks, man. That just goes to show you can't never give up, right?
Well, then at 12, we had a limit.
Had a limit but 12, man. Well, congratulations, both of you.
Thank you, Steve.
Appreciate it, man. Thank you, and see you Thursday night. Remember the sponsors. All right. Okay, folks, we're back, and you saw those fishermen there on North with those bags of fish. Some pretty good catches there. They had 4 or 5 good bags of fish. Brandon, anything over 15 pounds on Norris Lake's a pretty
God
good bag.
Almighty. You know, it's been a while, and I've fished a few tournaments up there, and I've seen some big bags, but you know, and that lake's really been coming on though. You know, it's the smallmouth population has increased, and it's I go to Norris about another couple of weeks. I like to go up there when it's good and cold, and I get out there in that deep water, and I throw a little darter for them big rockfish, and every once in a while I'll catch me a big old smallmouth too.
Oh yeah, yeah. That's well, there's a lot of rockfish breaking around up there right now. So sure is. But I'm going to tell y'all, I'm going to give you a quick tip, and then we're going to get Brandon here and let him tell his story and about his history, what he's got into over the years. Mike and I should have known this. A month ago, we were catching bass on Watch Bar. The water temperature was 56 degrees on a Zara spook and less than 2 foot of water and some good fish. Well, we get to, now, and we're down at Watch Bar on Sunday afternoon down there, and the temperature's, 53 degrees. And the top, the breeze and the wind, your top water bite's gone. And we get to Norris, and the water's 56 and a half, 50.7, and we're out there fishing 20, 25, 30 foot deep, and the fish are in there in 2 foot of water. We didn't put it together, folks. So my rule of thumb is going to be this: if it's 55 and above, fish shallow. Now, if it's 49, fish deep. That's just the way I'm going to tell you. That's because we're going to go back when that water gets 49 below, and we're going to catch them out there in about 30, 35 foot of water. But right now, they're up there on the bank. The guys that caught most of the fish had won the Heartland tournament, caught their fish on a spinner bait, and they caught 2 of them, and they were 200 yards from me and Mike. And so that just gives you the little insight of what's going on up there at Norris. And then you saw Mike and Brad catching the crappie. They were straight lining and using minnows. And you heard 33. I think we're sitting in 33 foot there, and Brad caught 4 or 5 in a row. And they searched that morning before I got with them, Brandon. They were in the treetops in there in the 12, 15, 18 foot of water and couldn't get bit, they said. So we moved out on the channel and got into the 30, 33 foot of water, and they started catching fish then. So, but that could change when this water cools off a little more. They could get in there shallow.
Crappie fishing is probably one of the greatest things that a lot of the bass anglers do on when they're off a tour, because it keeps your skill sharp, because they change as much as bass do.
Right.
They constantly move. You use a lot of the same techniques. We saw there they were looking at their graph and picking them off the graph. You do a lot of the same things, and they move with the weather just like bass do. So, guys like Mark Rose and some of these other guys that really compete, for the championship every year on tour. David Dudley. These guys, they go home and they crappie fish all winter, and it just keeps their skill sharp.
Oh yeah, it's well, you've got to find it. It teaches you to use your electronics and that kind of thing. So it's a good thing. But that's the tips that I wanted to pass along to you from the film we showed, and we'll in a little while we'll turn the phones on. If you have any questions about that, be glad to try to answer them. But right now I'm going to turn this thing over to Brandon, and Brandon, give us some history about how you got started and what's going on.
Well, I know I sound like it, but I'm not a Knoxville native. I was born up north, and please don't hold that against me. But I moved down here a long time ago. I moved down here in '87. I wasn't, but maybe an hour removed from graduating high school, and I was on the road. I didn't much care for it up there. I grew up loving to hunt and fish, and being right outside the city in Philadelphia was kind of not where I wanted to be.
Right.
And so I moved down here and went to the University of Tennessee. I was an advertising marketing major. Started fishing pretty early. I fished when I was 3 and 4 years old. My dad, I think his dream for me was to be where I am today, more than it was my dream when I was a youngster. And I loved it. I was eat up with it. I fished farm ponds and I did everything. And I fished Redman the day I turned 16. There was a tournament the next day, and that's when I was allowed to fish, and I was there. So, I mean, I always wanted to do it, but there come a point when I got to Tennessee that it was kind of interfering with school and everything else, and I was fishing a lot more than I should have been, and so I give it up for 10 years. And, you know, focused on my business and schooling and all that kind of stuff. And married, like I said earlier, a great girl from Oak Ridge, and I apologize for the story, but I just had to lay that on her early.
Oh yeah.
But so, you know, I got back into fishing in, you know, the early 2000s when, you know, 2, 3, when I'd kind of settled in life a little bit. We have 4 kids that, you know, some of them have grown up. And, you know, we've kind of gotten to a position where I could do it. So I've got back into fishing and had an opportunity, I guess, in 2006. Had done decent around here, and, you know, cut my teeth, you know, in this area, and they started something called the FLW series, and it was a stepping stone up to the FLW tour, and we talked about it, and we had started the State Farm Agency. I say we, I didn't do anything. My wife started the State Farm Agency, but it freed me up to be able to go pursue something I've always wanted to do. And, you know, that's the rest is history. I fished the FLW series 1 year, moved up to the tour the next year in 2008, and I've been on the tour since. And it's just you know, it's been, you can't do it without, you know, everybody around you pulling in the same direction. And, you know, it's been a blessing, and I've just, you don't know from 1 year to the next. You know, I've never, you know, these people on this jersey are the reason I get to fish, because no one can really do it off of winnings. It's not a possibility anymore. There's just not enough money in it. You can win the championship and go backwards if you don't have good sponsors.
Yeah.
And so I've been blessed that every year, I've never signed a 2-year deal, so I don't know from 1 year to the next if I get to go fishing, but I've been blessed every year to get to keep going.
Well, that's a good thing, and I know that weighs heavy. What you just spoke of weighs heavy on your mind about, you know, from year to year. You don't know where you're at. I mean,
it does. It's you know, fishing. I know this is going to sound crazy, but fishing's when I get a break. You know, I say that to people sometimes, and, you know, I think they always kind of look at you funny and say, well, he's just trying to justify why he's home, and, you know, they think, well, everybody says they work hard, right? That really is the case. I mean, I've been when I came in here, I didn't get to talk to you for the first 5 or 10 minutes. I was on the phone with somebody working on some stuff for next year, and, you know, it is truly nonstop. From the time, you know, if I'm fortunate enough to make the Forest Wood Cup, you know, great, and I've made 3 of those, and so I get to keep fishing a little longer. But if I don't, it starts right then, and it's, you know, you're starting to pursue things for the next year, and I can't wait for spring because I get to finally take a break and go fishing.
I hear you. You know, it's when you tournament fish, it's even here locally. I mean, you know, the pressure's on you. You know, I've stayed up all night tying on baits and getting stuff ready, and go up and go to bed and forget something and back down in the boat and doing something else for another 2 hours. And next thing I know, it's 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. I got to get up at 4:30. So
I'll tell you what, if you can, you know, I'm just glad I don't have to fish around here all the time because I mean these guys can flat catch them. You know, it's
buddy, they're tough.
We were talking earlier about the amount of lakes we have around here. Well, what that does is it creates a fisherman that's unbelievably versatile. And, you know, just like you said, you know, there's guys throwing long A's and spooks on Norris and Douglas this time of year, where you go somewhere up north. I mean, there's ice on the water, so you know you can't fish at all. So to be able to come in here and compete, you know, we do have the strongest group of anglers in the country, bar none, because of the number of lakes that we have and because of the different techniques that we have to use on each lake.
Right.
I'd hate to have to compete here all the time.
Oh yeah. It's tough. I'll tell you, these guys around here are hard to beat.
Yes, they are.
And if you do beat them, you've accomplished a lot, because they are some good anglers in this area, and this what you just said, it helped to bring them out. The tournament trails, and you've got a tournament trail. You know.
I do. You know, you know, we talked earlier, and I've got to go fishing since 2006 or 7, and what happens is, you know, you're chasing that brass ring, and I think what happens is that thing, you think it's up here sometimes, and you kind of leave your seat, and you get going after it, and you get after it, and you get after it, and you get after it, and before you know it, you've left what got you there or what's important to you. And we kind of realized that. You know, I'd been out there chasing it, but I'd lost Knoxville. I'd lost, you know, Anderson County. I won't say I lost my way, but I wasn't grounded. And so we decided we had an opportunity. There was a tournament in Knoxville on Fort Loudon that wasn't going well. And a gentleman had started it. It wasn't going well. And the sponsors of the tournament approached me and asked if I would consider taking it over. And you know, it was just a Tuesday night tournament, you know, maybe 15 or 20 boats or something. And I asked my wife, and bless her heart, I mean, I know she may not let me in the house after I said that about the fairs at the fair, but, you know, she's always been supportive, Steve, of my fishing, but she hasn't been involved.
Yeah.
There's a big difference.
Right.
And when we talked about the opportunity to, I don't want to, listen, I'm not here to preach, but when we got the opportunity to kind of give back and take over this trail and do something here locally, and she said, I think we ought to do it. And the key word was we. And I said, well, if you're in, I'm in. And to see my girls check live wells in pink jerseys that said TN Toad, it's the TN Toad series on Loudon. But to see my wife there every Tuesday night and do all the registration and do all the stuff, and I'll tell you, you know, if you do something from the heart and you do it for the right reasons, the fishermen showed up. And, you know, we never had less than 50 boats in 18 events. We averaged 59 boats in a Tuesday night Wildcat. Never had less than 50 boats for a single event. Had, I think, 79 one night. It was just an absolute blessing. And to see my family involved and see those girls. I got to fish with my son. He was a senior in high school, so this was his last kind of time here before he went off to college. It was just an absolute blessing, and I can't wait to continue it this year.
Well, man, that sounds great. What's the hours and where you launching at?
We rotate ramps. All the information will be out at the East Tennessee Fishing Show.
Okay.
I know a lot of people go there, and we'll have flyers out at Edgemoor and the different tackle stores around town. You know, what I've done this year is we've set up a tournament committee, and we brought in some people from all the areas that we fish, and you know, I'm letting them take a lot of the, you know, a lot of the questions from the fishermen to make this thing as good as it can be, because I don't want, you know, everything I say to have to go. You know, let's bring the fishermen in. Let's figure out how to do this thing the best we can. And so we've got a tournament committee, and we've made very minor changes because it has been successful. But we will have schedules out. But it is Tuesday nights from 6 to 10. You know, we pray before and after. We feed you every week. You know, so we have pizzas, or we had Popeyes last year, fed us quite a bit. You know, and that's no charge. You know, it's a $50 entry fee, and we guarantee $1,000 for first. It's just a good time, good fellowship, and you know, we rotate ramps on Loudon, so you know, it kind of keeps it fair. We didn't have anybody win more than twice last year. No one team won more than twice, and no one won back-to-back weeks.
What?
So, you know, it really spreads it around, and that's I think from going from Louisville to Concord to the Dam, you know, and just kind of keeping everybody, you know, Jack Way, we talked about John a little earlier, you know, John's from this area, and Jack, you know, Jack got on some fish up in the river. I'm sorry, Jack, if you're watching, but I'm going to go ahead and tell you, you got on fish in the river. And the best thing we did was that week you caught them all. The next week we went out of the dam, and we made you run 40 miles to your fish, and you didn't have enough time to beat us.
There you go.
So, but that was something that was positive about the trail. So, it's the TN Toad. It is on Facebook. We will have websites up and all that kind of stuff. But like I said, last year we kind of cut our teeth with it. The guys wore jerseys. If you wear a jersey from the Toad, you get an extra $100 if you win in it. I mean, there's just a lot of neat things about it.
Good deal.
And we're talking to you know, Concord Baptist. They're talking about doing a little ministry where they feed us once a month and do some different stuff. So some really neat things.
Man, that sounds great. A lot, you know, there's about every week, every afternoon except for Wednesday night, there's a past tournament, Wildcat somewhere.
There is, and,
I mean,
you know, it's you know, that's what makes this place so neat.
Yeah.
I mean, you can, and I think what's happened is it's gotten pretty expensive, to be honest, to fish a weekend tournament.
Yeah.
Right. Let's, you know, with the price of fuel and the entry fees and everything. And listen, I cut my teeth on the weekend tournaments, and they are absolutely phenomenal. But I think that the weekday tournaments sometimes, you know, fit a certain person better. You know, they can get off work, they can go kind of, you know, rest, you know, relax a little bit with their buddies and pay a $50 entry fee instead of a $100 entry fee, or and still have a good time.
Oh yeah.
You know, fish competitively.
Right.
Because, you know, that's, you know, we lose that sometimes. You know, it's the fellowship and all that's great, but you know, these guys want to go win.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, there's no doubt. It's still a competition.
You know, you're sitting there. Well, you know, used to when we had the years ago, folks, when they had a blast off at the tournament, it was a blast.
I know it.
Yeah,
No,
it wasn't one at a time and that kind of thing, ease off or anything like that. It was drop your hat, shoot the gun, or whatever, and it was every boat for himself. And I mean, you know, it was literally a blast off. And you sat out there in the adrenaline rush, and you're sitting there, you know, your foot's jumping, and you're, you know, ready to go.
Everybody's easing, trying to get a nose ahead of the next guy.
Yeah, this guy's idling that. Where's he going? Hey, you know, and because you didn't want him to get 10 yards ahead of you, you know, and that kind of thing. So it was, you thought he was going to your fishing hole and that type of thing. So it's you know, but it's changed a lot now, but the adrenaline is still there. I get excited, you know, every time we blast off, and it's you know, waiting there till they call my number. Hey, what? Come on, go ahead, you know, and that kind of thing. You're wanting them 5 people in front of you to be ready to go.
Ready to go.
You know, that kind of thing. So I know what you're talking about.
I think old Dwayne Wayne changed that. I think he was one of the first ones on Melton Hill to stop the
blast off. Well, I think there was 2 or 3 run aground and this kind of thing, and they were putting in there at Solway, and that river channel up through there is not that wide, and when you get out of the channel, you're in 2 to 3 foot of water, and it got dangerous.
Yeah,
honestly, that was the key.
I couldn't feel good about that anymore.
No,
telling them to go. I just, you know, with that many boats running around.
Yeah,
my wife's a State Farm agent, which is insurance, so she wouldn't let me do it even if I wanted to.
When I was a kid, we went over and fished. That's when they had the Dogwood Arts Festival tournaments there at Turkey Creek on Loudon. And, man, they would line, when we idled out from under the bridge there, they would line up from one side of the lake there to the other. And, you know, and that's how I mean, it was a blast-off back in those days. And the guys that, you know, if we're going downriver, the ones that had the fast boats were way over on the other side because they wanted that inside turn on that first curve, you know, and naturally everybody figured out every angle. But I remember those well, and that was a big turnout back in the day over there for that. Well, I know you brought some baits with you. Let's look at them.
I did. What I brought this is kind of a neat deal. It's swim baits have kind of taken the world by storm. You know, I mean, it's you know, everything from skinny dippers to, you know, there's any number of brands now. You know, it kind of started with Bass Tricks in the U.S. Then Yamamoto made the skinny dipper, and it kind of took off. What I've got here is kind of a neat deal. I was fortunate enough a long time ago to meet a young man named Masahiro Yanase. Okay, he came over from Japan, and he fished as a co-angler on the FOW tour. And he brought these. And what this is called a Sawamura one-up shad. This is the original swim bait. This was built 15 to 18 years ago. So it was long ahead of, and Japanese baits do tend to be a little bit ahead of the U.S. market. And so this bait was made, you know, a long time, and this is what they all kind of took because there was I want to get it right, a what was just shy of the world record caught on one of these over on Lake Biwa. And when they did, it just, that lit up all the papers, and they wanted to know what he caught it on. He actually caught it on an open hook one, swimming it in grass. And so now all of a sudden it hit the U.S. and, every maker made them.
Yeah.
Well, what happened with Salamora is they're a Japanese company, obviously, and they didn't want to deal with the red tape of coming in the U.S. So they never came. Everybody just kind of knocked it off and came up with their own versions of this. And Masa, my buddy from Japan, poor Masa, when he'd go back to Japan, we'd line his pockets. I'm sure immigration probably wondered why he's walking across or going through all the time. But, a bunch of us that fished the tour would go over and give Masa as much money as we could scrape up to bring them back. Because as with a lot of things, the original's, the best in a lot of cases. And in my opinion, this is the best swim bait that's ever been built. It's something about the plastic. I couldn't tell you what it is other than it swims and it paddles with absolutely no weight. If you just drop it in a tank, it'll actually swim down. Yeah. And to me, that's what I look for in a swim bait, is it to swim down. And if it'll do that on just a hook, I've got a bait that I want to throw. And so Masa started going back to Japan all the time and bringing these over. And poor Masa have, he'd go over with one suitcase, come back with 4, and divvy them out to all the guys that wanted them. Well, Masa stopped fishing a couple years ago. And when he did, he needed to do something. And so he approached me, and he was, he stayed at my house a lot when he was in the U.S. from Japan. And so we got to talking about it, and we figured out a way to get them here. We went ahead and started a company in Japan called Rising Sun in Japan, and then we started a company in the U.S. called Rising Sun USA. And when I say we, Masa, okay? I mean, I just stand here and show people how they swim. Right. But Masa, he's just an awesome individual, and so he's been able to work with Salamora and get the import rights into the U.S. So they've been here for not very long. The only place you can get them around here is Edgemoor Tackle. Go see Jim. He's got them. If he doesn't have the one you want, I know where to get them. So, but they are online too. But go over and support Jim and get them over there. But some of the you can do anything you do with any swim bait. You can put it on an open hook and fish it weedless. You can that's a weedless open hook. You can fish it wide open with an open hook.
Right.
When we go to when we go to up north and fish for smallmouth, I'll actually use this. This is a little bit thicker hook, but I'll just put a shaky head hook in it, and I'll throw the 4-inch version. And instead of dragging a tube, I drag it.
Right.
And it makes a lot more action. And when it falls, it paddles down, and that ends up really triggering a lot of bites on them big smallmouth on like Erie and St. Clair and those lakes. And then I had a chance to win Beaver Lake this year. I was real close. I was leading it after day 2 and second after the third day and going to the final day, and didn't have a great final day, but I was catching them on a 9 rig like this. And the advantage I had, and one of the reasons I did so well is I was able to put the middle bait on weightless,
right,
and the bottom 2 is all I had weights on, and I was able to put little 1/8-ounce weights on the bottom 2 and still fish it effective in 20 foot. Well, the only way I was able to do that is because these they're heavy baits. If you ever had one in your hand, you'll feel them. They're real pliable. It's just a different plastic than we have in the U.S. That's all I can tell you. They're unbelievably soft, but they actually have weight to them.
Yeah.
And so when you go throw an Alabama rig, and trust me, I've thrown it a lot. On tour last year we were allowed to throw them, and by throwing them all the time, if I can get away with just 2 1/8-ounce weights and still fish it deep, not only do the fish like it better, because anytime you can lighten the weight on any rig, I do it. It just makes everything swim more natural. But the fish like it, your elbows like it, your wrists like it, your shoulders like it, everything likes it. And so by these baits having, I don't know if they have salt in them or not, but by having kind of a sinking effect and a thick plastic, they add weight to it, so you don't need that. Put the big heavy lead on them. Right. And but they have changed how I fish. I mean, we throw them on Loudon this past fall, or I'm sorry, not this fall, but this summer. they stayed shallow all year.
Right.
They never went deep. We just had so much current on lakes around here. It just never happened. And I was really having a hard time catching them. And went to a buzzbait, and I was starting to get some short strikes. And so I took the blade or the skirt off a buzzbait, and I put a swim bait on it. And what that does is it rides a little lower in the water. And that bait comes there, and boy, when they eat it, you got them.
You got
them every time. A lot of guys will do it with a horny toad.
Yeah.
I've seen it done with a horny toad. This is a little more subtle, and boy, when they get it, they get it.
Man,
so that's
a neat trick. We take the skirt off the spinner bait, put the same thing on it. Used to use the 3-inch grub, and at times they just ate it up, and that's a good tip right there, folks. If you guys watching, that's a dandy. Listen, Herschel, turn the phone on, and we'll keep talking, and when it rings, we'll answer.
If there's people out there, I do need help.
All right.
I've got something I've worked hard on. I've worked with East Tennessee Fishing Show, and the show's coming up January 16th, 17th, 18th, and 19th. I believe are the dates.
Right.
If I'm wrong,
no, you're
Sheila,
right.
I'm sorry.
You're right.
But we talked about ways to get youth involved. And what Sheila was gracious enough to allow me to do is, I apologize. My daughter was in a spelling bee, and she took my lucky bracelet. But the rubber bracelets that everybody wears? Well, she's got mine, and I forgot to get it from her after the spelling bee today. But she's going to give me East Tennessee Fishing Show bracelets.
Okay.
She's got them made.
All right.
And what I'm allowed to do is I'm allowed to go to every single high school, middle school, anything under college fishing team there is in the area, and those boys and girls will get free entry all 4 nights into the show.
Oh, man, that's great.
And what that'll do is, man, there's a lineup that's just unbelievable from Terry Scroggins to Optifo to, I think, Jimmy Houston. I mean, there's unbelievable speakers coming.
Right.
And I don't want the boys to have to come one night, or the girls, and miss.
I agree.
And miss. Be there the night that Jimmy Houston speaks, but then really want to hear Optifo.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of kids can't afford, and families can't afford to go to the show more than one night. So this way, the kids are free.
Yeah.
They can come every night they can. And Pure Fishing, let me tell you something. Pure Fishing has stepped up, and some other people have given me some commitments that I've got. I know for sure for Pure Fishing, they're going to have a goodie bag for every one of these kids to come.
Oh, that's great.
With some baits, and they're working on. They've got a lot of new baits out. I believe it'll have a bunch of the baits that no one's even got to fish with yet. They're just been developed by different pros.
Yeah.
So, kind of neat. We're going to give everybody a ticket. So as the kids come, they show their bracelet, they get in free, they turn in their ticket, and they get a goodie bag. So, what I need help from is I need to make sure that I don't miss anybody. I don't want to miss any fishing team that is within a drive of Knoxville that I can give one of these bracelets to, because sure as I'm sitting here, there's going to be one. Okay. And I'm going to feel absolutely horrible if I don't get those kids free entry into that thing. So I need you to go either call us, go to my Facebook page, just Brandon Coulter. You can find me on Facebook, you can find me on Twitter. Let me know about any team that's out there.
Okay.
That way and if you can message me. I know a lot of them. I've been fortunate enough to get to talk to a lot of the kids, but I really need everybody's help, because it would kill me to leave a group out.
I agree, man. That sounds great.
But the people at the East Tennessee Fishing Show, they're wonderful for doing that.
Yes, sir. There's no doubt about it. As a matter of fact, I'm supposed to meet with Sheila Monday afternoon.
Well, good.
We're going to do a little segment here for the show, and because that is the premier fishing show for this area.
Oh, without exception.
Without a doubt.
Without exception.
And so
they've taken it over, and it's, I guess, 3 or 4 years ago, and it has become just unbelievable. They're not careful. They're going to grow outside. They're going to grow too big for East Tennessee.
Yeah,
Well,
the building's not going to hold everything.
But they're doing a good job.
They really are. They sure are. It's a great show. You see a lot of things, boats, tackle, pros. You just, you know, it's got everything. Well, okay, folks, you heard what the guy said. He needs your help, and I'm going to give him my help. I know too. I've got some contacts for Clinton, Campbell County, and Oliver Springs that I know of. Those three places. So I'll try to help you all I can. Get those people to give you a call and get you. You need a roster.
I don't need a roster. What I need is a contact person. What I'd like to be able to do is just go, you know, if they have a meeting, you know, I know they meet about once a month. Yeah. I'd love to go meet with them, talk to them, and give them the bracelets. If we can't schedule a meeting, you know, just get with whoever organizes the team and get them the bracelets to get to their students. Yeah. You know, we want to make this as easy as possible.
Okay.
You know, we don't need, you know, I don't want any paperwork or nothing. I just want to get people bracelets and get them in the show. And they're the neat rubber bracelets, and so you know, it's not something that, you know, we're going to put a doctor's band on them for a month or so.
I understand. That's a good idea and a good thing, good cause, and you people that's listening, if you've got any contacts, you know, and the way I understand that works, they have a in-school sponsor and they have a sponsor out of school.
They do.
So you people that's you know, got kids doing that, let's help him get the information that he needs, and I'll see if I can't get you 2 or 3 myself and pass the word along.
Appreciate that.
Because that's a good thing you're doing, and it's a good thing for them to be there. Folks, I'm going to talk just a second about the tackle tip of the month. I picked up a reel, and I brought some electrical tape. And I'm awful hard to change my habits. I've got rods that I've had for 15 or 20 years, and I wouldn't take nothing for them. But because I'm comfortable with them, you know what I mean. And so anyway, I was talking to Brandon about it a while ago, and you know, we talked about the electrical tape. Well, I brought some red so you could see it tonight, but that'll do the same thing as the black. You know, you don't go to the lake without your electrical tape in your tackle box or in your boat, because you never know what you might have to do with it. We've talked about that before. But anyway, when you go from, say, a 5500C Ambassador to a low-profile reel, and you put it on the same rod, the reel seat on the rod, and you put your new reel on there, well, you tighten that nut down, and all the threads are gone, and the reel's still loose. So I've had that happen a lot. So what you want to do is take that electrical tape that you got in your glove box of the boat or in your tackle box, and you just kind of peel off a little bit. It takes about 2 wraps, and all I do is do this. Catch that right in under the bottom, come around, just a little snug, and, well, I'll usually hold it in my other hand. But anyway, the bottom line is you get that around this reel seat, and then when you put that on your rod, I'll take a pair of scissors. I've got my scissors with me too. This is just another use for that dang roll of tape you got in your tackle box. But that will tighten down, and you slip that in your rod, and then whenever you tighten that nut up, and if you get too much, you know, it won't fit back into the rod seat. But that's basically about what it's going to look like. Then I take my scissors and just trim this little bit off right here, like so. And then when you put that reel on that rod and you tighten your nut down, you've got about maybe a turn or 2 left of threads, and the reel's tight.
Pretty slick.
Well, you know, I had to come up with something. Because I couldn't go afford to buy another rod, and I just bought that new reel, and I said, "Dadgum." So I put the tape to it, and I thought, well, that's going to take some of the sensitivity away. Well, if it did, I didn't notice it.
No, I don't believe it would.
So, but anyway, that's a little tip for you right there. And
Can I give a tip?
yeah, go ahead.
Electrical tape still.
Right.
Let's see them scissors.
Okay.
This is something I do every practice. If I'm catching them on a Cinco or trick worm or anything, you know, that I run a hook through the center of. You may, I don't know if you've shown this or not on here, but what I do is I cut the tape in half. Okay, so I got a much thinner strip. Okay, let's just pretend, since we don't have a Cinco here, but who gets tired of tearing up all their Cincos?
Oh yeah.
Oh, I know, and I know what they cost, and so what I do is if that's my Cinco, I take electrical tape and I wrap it as tight as I can, and you can't get it too tight because you know it only adheres to itself. So you got to be able to wrap it around, you know, so it adheres to itself. But then that's right in the center of the Cinco. Now it's not in the center of this, but I'm just using this as a demonstration.
I understand.
And then I run my hook right through there.
Yeah. Okay.
And I promise you, you can catch 20 fish with that.
The other way, if you get one or two, it's destroyed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that way, it just, you run your hook through the middle of the electrical tape and right through the Cinco, and it'll last all day.
I need to put that red in my boat because that red might just make them bite.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
All right, folks. Well, listen, I'm going to talk about my sponsors right here, right quick, and we'll go from there. Bunch Marine, don't forget they got a good sale going on down there. Holiday sale, talked about last week. They got depth finders, trolling motors, chargers, miscellaneous items, hot foot throttles, and Minn Kota Strike King sunglasses, the Minn Kota Talon. They got a little bit of everything down there, making some great deals on that. Then we go to Reynolds Racing and Marine over there in Harriman. Glenn's got several items on sale over there, some boats and engines he's got. You need to check with him also. Then we go to Mountain Pizza. They got the specials through the week and karaoke on Saturday night. Don't forget Carm, folks. Anything you can do to help those folks, it'd be greatly appreciated. You got the Carm stores here in Anderson County, or here in Oak Ridge, and one in Clinton, and then the 3 locations there in Knoxville. So they would appreciate any help you can give them on that. The sign shop, C&D Printing, don't forget those folks. Citizens First Bank, the 5 branches, don't forget those people. Just like Brandon said, and Edgemore Outdoors, Brandon can't do it without his sponsors from year to year, and I can't do this show without mine. So, we got to support those folks for sure, and appreciate you doing that. Brandon, I hate that we hadn't got any callers, but I don't take that as a bad thing. I think that's as people just didn't have anything to ask us, maybe. But we're if they do call me in a few days and ask me something, I'm going to put them on you.
Absolutely. Well, you know how to get a hold of me.
I sure do, and I appreciate you coming by, and I've enjoyed having you. And we're going to try to help you on your quest to getting these bracelets out to these high school bass players.
Sounds good. Well, I'm looking forward to it.
Okay, folks. Next week, I hope we got some fishing film. Maybe Mike and Brad will get them some fresh minnows, and maybe we can catch some. All right. God bless you, and see you next week.